Is it ironic that on a day I finally get to talk about flock cameras and privacy concerns, all of a sudden my computer shut down? Was I blocked by Microsoft? No. I'm not going that deep into conspiracy theory, but I think it's finally time to talk about this issue. Flock cameras. You've seen them on the news. You've seen the individual stories. You probably heard your friends talking about them. Security cameras everywhere. By the way, you're going to be shocked at how many are actually in place right now as we speak. The debate is kind of broken down to, okay, yeah, you can hear and find any interview you want. There's hundreds of them out there of police agencies across the country, government officials, people from the flock company itself telling you how they can stop crime and find missing kids and all this other stuff. At what cost? That's the big question. Your privacy? Because they got you. Now, I've always been one of these people that says, I have such a boring life. Just about the only controversial thing I do is on the air and then on here say some things that may piss people off sometimes, whatever. That's part of what I do. That's about it. Other than that, it's a boring life. So I've always said, whatever it takes to get me on my plane faster, keep me safer, whatever it is. And by the way, let's just be adults here. If you've ever been to a theme park, if you've ever registered, if you've ever have a license, they have you, okay? They have your information. Also, right now, you, me, no matter where you are, no matter when you're watching or listening to this, from satellite can zoom in on us right now if they wanted to, right? But most of us have nothing to hide, so what's the big deal? Here's the difference. With flock cameras, they can find you, track you, metadata, put together on you, put together a file on you in real time without your permission, just like with the security cameras or satellites. The difference is who's in charge of it. And we've got all kinds of stories now, and there's all kinds of incidents and stories where in the hands of human beings, and we're all, imperfect in one way or another, this amazing technology can be corrupted. And the argument is, well, those are just a couple of isolated stories, as we'll show you here. They're not that isolated, and they can show you what can happen. So we'll get into it. A lot to go over here, and this sounds terrible, but I'm not afraid to admit it. You know what finally turned me, after all this, and I've been looking at this stuff for like months now to try to figure out how I feel about this. Well, they can stop crime, but there's big safety concerns. The first tipping point for me were all of these stories that are coming out now from police agencies that were using them for underhanded means. The other thing, though, was actually hearing from this company's CEO himself. I don't like that weasel. That was enough for me. I just don't like him, and I don't trust him. That was the tipping point. We'll get into it. All right, thanks for finding Wicked Radio and the live stream. Sorry, so late today. But the replay, which you can watch or listen to wherever you want, X, YouTube, and Facebook, and the audio podcast uploaded almost immediately after we get off the live stream. Let's get right to it now. You've heard about him, this and that, but you're busy. You've got things to worry about. You're trying to take care of your family. What are these flock cameras? There was a technology blogger who put together, so far, what I found the best description of exactly what these things are and what they can do. Here you go.
This is a flock safety camera, a solar-powered, pole-mounted system designed to capture 6 to 12 images of passing vehicles along with metadata like time, location, and vehicle attributes. But the camera is only the edge of the system. That data moves through encrypted cellular links into Flock OS, the central platform where events are stored, indexed, and searched. From there, the software layer comes online. Tools like Flock Nova analyze patterns across location. The National LPR network enables authorized cross-agency searches. Freeform allows natural language queries across massive data sets and investigate.
All right, let's be objective. If you were just hearing about this the first time, you're going, wow, it's amazing technology. It's absolutely incredible. And your first thought, being a normal human being, is this would be great. You can stop terrorists. You can stop creepers. You can stop regular street criminals. You can find stolen cars or stolen property. Absolutely. And by the way, all of that is true. You can. You can also use it to do really, really bad things. And again, the argument against this is, those are just isolated incidents of police agencies and actual officers, using these to spy on people they don't like or domestic situations. Those are just isolated incidents. They ain't that isolated, kids. They're really not. There's a lot of them out there. So let's go to some of those before we get to some of the other things that are in the news about the flock cameras. Here you go. This one is in suburban Boston, I believe.
Those controversial license plate tracking cameras made by Flock back in the spotlight. A Massachusetts police officer on leave at risk of losing his job and possibly facing criminal charges for allegedly abusing the technology. The Stowe Police Department says Officer Jason Rogers improperly accessed information about someone he knows 5 different times in the Flock database. The highly scrutinized Flock cameras automatically photograph every passing vehicle into a database that officers can search without a warrant. A fight now.
You think what I the term when I see those stories that pops into my head immediately is Big Brother. Remember that old expression, Big Brother is watching you? Well, yeah, Big Brother's watching you. They're also collecting data on you. They know your patterns. They have the pattern recognition. They have all the data you want. And again, how come it seems as though in all of these stories that are popping up, and I got a few more for you, anybody in the police agency can access it? I understand the technology is there. Obviously, it's obvious to all of us now what they can do. But anybody can just go in and access what they found? Anybody? All right, so that was Boston. Let's go to another recent thing. This one's in Wisconsin.
Was part of an exclusive group of detectives assigned to investigate misconduct by fellow officers.
But prosecutors say he was the one breaking the law, spying on citizens with city-owned cameras and a personal GPS device. Derek Rose is tracking those developments in the Flock camera spying scandal. And Derek, this detective has 22 years of service.
Yeah, Blake, it is rare to see someone from Internal Affairs in its division face criminal charges given the nature.
It's not that rare. Again, the counter argument to this you see all the time is these are isolated incidents. You're talking about it. This is not. No, not really. There is a pattern there. And again, I go back to this question. They've set this system in place. I'm going to tell you how many are in the country right now, which will shock you in just a second. Where's the protocol in place? So anybody can just access this information? Anybody. Really? It sounds like they put these things in place, thousands of them, by the way, without any protocols, any back check system, any fail safes, anything. So before we go on, any more cases like that, I asked Grok a couple of minutes before we went on, okay, what are we talking about here, Grok? How many Flock cameras from this country are in the country right now? A couple of hundred in the big cities? A couple of thousand? Hold on, everybody. According to Grok, roughly 100 to 120,000 plus Flock safety cameras are currently deployed across the United States. So before we even knew about the issue, before it started to pop up in your timeline or people like me talking about it or major news stories like that you just saw, they were able to put in 120,000 estimated throughout the entire country, right under our noses. That's another concern. Okay. Municipalities, law enforcement agencies in about 5,000 to 7,000 agencies, 6,000 communities across 49 states. Okie doke. So what I'm getting here is you got a hold of this technology, you bought into this Flock company, we'll hear from the CEO in a second, and you put them in place without setting up the protocol and the legalities of exactly who can check the information that you're gathering in real time at 24/7. Well, now. All right, now the stories, individual stories from police agencies. You saw the one in suburban Boston. You saw the one from Milwaukee. There's a whole bunch of them out there. It's not that rare. This is the one that really got me. This is a viral video because it's from a police body cam of another case of a Flock camera being used, but a police officer getting the wrong information from it. This was a lady who got a knock on the door, and she was accused of stealing a delivery package because the officer, as you're going to hear here, insists that she stole it. This camera doesn't lie. I have the technology. And goes on to say, I'm not going to show it to you. I'll give you the update on the story here, but I'll just tell you this was total mistaken identity. Again, technology is great. In the hands of this particular flawed human being, completely got it wrong.
We have cameras everywhere in that town. You can't get a breath of fresh air in or out without us knowing. Right. You know the quality on the camera doorbell you have. Yep. I've got that on my phone right now of you taking that package.
Where is this place?
I just told you.
I don't know what it is.
Okay, I have you on camera.
Okay.
You taking a package.
But you don't. And here's the end story of this one. It was complete mistaken identity. Again, in the hands of a flawed cop Why does he have the access to this? She was falsely accused. The case was dropped in her county court system because she was able to prove through her cell phone tracking data that she wasn't even near the area. It's a complete mistaken identity. But it still didn't stop the cop from knocking on her door and saying, "I've got you on camera, and I see you coming in and out, and I have this, and I don't have to show you this." That's a problem too. So is the placement. I don't know where in the country this is. This is just from a TikTok video. There's so many. If there's 120,000 estimated flock cameras throughout the country, they can't all be looking for criminals. Why are there so many in places where you'd say, "Hey, there shouldn't be a flock camera there"? Here's one lady who says, "I wonder why this is pointed at a water park."
Literally, why does Anna have a flock camera literally facing the kids' splash pad? I mean,
that's a good question. I guess the argument would be to make sure that the kids are safe and no bad people or creepers come in there to bother the kids, or maybe an accident thing. Yeah, I get that. But couldn't you imagine way worse possibilities and why that thing would be pointed directly at the kids' water park? Again, the technology is pretty amazing at what it can do. It's in the hands of people who maybe shouldn't have access to this information. Here's another one that may get you. Now, this one goes to Daytona Beach, Florida. This is a lawyer, by the way, so I'm sure he's on this case. One weekend, not too long ago, I think it was last month, he went to his local gun range, get some practice shots in, and he noticed a flock camera right there at the entrance. Here's what he said.
There are freaking flock cameras at the gun range. This is the entrance to the gun range. So they got you coming in. They also got you going out. Today's Wednesday, so the gun range is closed until 2. So there's nobody here.
Why? Why is there a flock camera pointed at the gun range, like as the lawyer said there, so they can see you coming in and coming out? Why? Why? Well, and I'm sure, and there's always the counter argument. Well, we want to make sure that, nothing happens here. There are people who have weapons in hand and this and this. Right. But couldn't you imagine a scenario where somebody who's very, very, very against the Second Amendment would get a hold of this and finding out and keeping tabs on who goes to the gun range? Couldn't you just imagine that scenario after we've already seen this in the hands of the wrong kind of people and published reports of that, media reports of that, being used for illicit purposes? Of course you can. So you can imagine that the fight back is happening. Now, not advocating this, I'm just saying it's interesting in a sociological aspect to take a look at this kind of thing and see how people are pushing back. Been all kinds of incidents of people taking sawzalls and chopping down the poles right away, or covering up, or spray painting, or doing all kinds of damage. Thought this was interesting. This is in St. Pete, Florida, on the west coast of the state. This guy found a loophole in the law where he says, well, they're placed in public land, and I'm a resident of the city. I'm not damaging the camera. I just take my little lawn chair, and he sets it up with a giant pole with a like a cardboard thing, and he blocks the camera. This is what the guy does. A lot of retirees in St. Pete. Maybe that's his thing. But check him out. His name is Carl Doug. I can't remember his last name, but he's making some news as well. He's not breaking the law, but they try to stop him every single day.
Yo, what's that piece of shit hanging on the pole?
That's a piece of shit.
That's a fuck camera, right?
Yeah,
and you got the boys out here protecting it.
They're gonna arrest me.
They got like, I don't know, $1,000 worth of gold? Yo, what's your name?
That video is from a guy in the car supporting him, obviously. And the cop, and he's right, there was like 6 cop cars trying to stop him. And the guy keeps on saying, I'm on city land. I'm not touching the pole. I just happen to have a large pole of my own blocking the flock camera. He's making his own statement. And I said in the beginning, I think this, I started to feel terrible about this, but I decided I'm not afraid to say it. Sometimes, and maybe you're the same way, and I have to decide how I feel about a certain technology or a certain company that does it. I look at the executives or the people behind the company, the founders really, because they really get a sense of what they want to do with it. I've seen a couple of interviews with the CEO of this flock company. Let's go right to the company itself. I mean, incredible business model. They are. I can imagine how much money they're making off of this. 120,000 of these through 6,000 municipalities throughout the country. Yeah, you're right, he is. His name is Garrett Langley. This sounds terrible to say, But after all the evidence I put together, I was there already against these things because of how they can be, compromised and corrupted. Then I heard this guy talk. I don't like this little weasel.
In the U.S. history book, there'll be a part about Flock and how because of Flock, we are a safer, happier, healthier country.
Yep, don't like him at all. Not at all. Yeah, judge me all you want for it, but that's a little weasel. That's a little weasel who's in charge, who's more than happy to take your privacy away. It will. I mean, it has the technology and the ability, I'm sure these cases too, where it stopped crime, where it saved kids, where it's, found stolen cars, where it's done this. Here's the question we should all be asking. At what cost? Your privacy? What's that worth? I know they got you everywhere. There's cameras everywhere already, but not like this in real time. And not like this where apparently there's no protocols in place for any municipality. Anybody, any cop can access the data that they've collected on you. Have we seen in some of these national reports that they can just track anybody they want? So they set up 120,000 of these cameras in our country without a system in place or somebody checking with the legalities of it to see who can actually use them and access this. Technology is one thing. And I don't think they're going away. I will tell you that much. They're here. You're not going to remove 120,000 flock cameras with this much invested in them. What needs to change is, and what everybody should have done already in the first place, is set up some sort of a safety, fail-safe, check and balance protocol to make sure that only the proper people can access this information. And let's figure out some sort of a law where you can't put them in certain locations as well. Everybody is in favor of stopping crime. And this is what you go to? It's kind of like we've gone from sanctuary cities, which have been known to protect criminals. We've gone from that to people fighting that to completely the other way to now we're monitoring everybody and anybody every time we can. We jumped the shark on this way too soon. I don't think the technology's going away. I wouldn't imagine anyway. We've got to be able to get some checks and balances on this thing, though. But I'll wrap this up by giving you, and this just happened last night, the San Diego City Council meeting where they take public comments. This is the greatest argument, and I'm so glad this is going viral. This is the greatest argument against flock cameras I've ever seen, and it comes from all people. Are you ready? Darth Vader. Not really Darth Vader. He hasn't come to Earth. But it's a guy dressed up as Darth Vader, and he uses satire. Like, what would Darth Vader say about these cameras? He uses satire to point out how evil these things can be. Let's go to the San Diego City Council for public comments on the flock cameras in their city out there. We'll take it in pieces to get to his argument. It is fantastic. And because it's a public comment section, they have to introduce him as Darth Vader. And yes, he's in full costume.
Great
This
day,
is
love
great.
to all. Thank you. Darth Vader?
And that's, yes, you hear the breathing device and everything else. He goes in there. And then you hear what he has to say about the entire issue. Here he is, walking up to the microphone. Here he goes. Here he is. It takes him a while.
The Emperor is a fan of Flock, and we must continue utilizing Flock technologies so that we can follow and surveil the rebel scum as they move from playground to playground, from playground to pool, from pool to gymnasium, because we all know that the Flock cameras are not only following the license plate readers, they are following children. They are following children in parks and gymnasiums, and we need this. I need this so I can stalk my ex-girlfriend.
That is how you make an argument, with satire. I'm so glad that video is going viral as Darth Vader makes his case for flock cameras and therefore making an argument against them. Oh, bravo, Darth Vader. Bravo. So that's the long and short of it. Scary part is there's 120,000 of these things placed throughout the country, 6,000 plus municipalities. And so far what we've learned is it really doesn't look like there's any protocol in place. It looks like anybody in those municipalities in a law enforcement agency can access this information. Okay, I don't know if we're ever going to get rid of these things, but what we can do is fight for some checks and balances and protocol on these things and not put them on playgrounds. Thanks for finding me. I appreciate you. All right, make it a wicked awesome weekend. It's Friday. Thanks for finding me. Sorry I was a little bit late to start the live stream today. It was the technology trying to shut me down. No, I'm just kidding. It was actually Microsoft. Thanks for finding the Wicked Radio live stream, audio podcast, wherever you like to find those, whatever platform you like. Thanks so much for finding that. Like, share, download, whatever they ask you to do. And also the live stream, 8 a.m. Eastern Time on X, YouTube, and Facebook. And then the replay on those same networks as well. All right. Don't get flocked. That's pretty flocked up. I got all kinds of dad jokes to go. Make it a wicked awesome weekend. I'll talk to you later.